The night was black, not dark, black. The kind of darkness that swallows everything. In the jungles of Guadalcanal, October 24, 1942, 15 United States Marines held a thin line against an island full of death. Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone crouched behind a Browning .30 caliber machine gun. His hands gripped the weapon. Sweat poured down his face. The jungle around him erupted with gunfire, screams, and explosions. Somewhere in that darkness, 3,000 Japanese soldiers were advancing. Their mission was simple: overrun the Marine position, retake Henderson Field airstrip, kill every American on the island. John Basilone had a different plan. He was going to stop them, all of them, or die trying. For the next 3 days, John Basilone would fight one of the most brutal battles in Marine Corps history. He would hold his position when every rational voice told him to retreat. He would repair machine guns with his bare hands while the metal burned his skin. He would carry 90 pounds of weapons through enemy fire. He would kill dozens of enemy soldiers. And he would save Henderson Field, the most important piece of real estate in the Pacific. But to understand how a kid from Buffalo, New York ended up alone in a jungle fighting for his life, we need to go back. John Basilone was born on November 4, 1916 in Buffalo, New York. He was one of 10 children in an Italian-American family. His father worked as a tailor. His mother raised 10 kids in a small house. They were not wealthy. They were not connected. They were working people, immigrants who believed in America and the opportunity it offered. John grew up tough. He had to be. 10 kids in one house meant you learned to fight for your share. You learned to stand your ground. You learned that quitting was not an option. Buffalo in the 1920s and 30s was a hard town. Factory work, long hours, little pay. But the Basilone family stuck together. When John was a teenager, he was restless. School did not hold his interest. He wanted action, adventure, something more than a factory job in Buffalo. In 1934, at 18 years old, John Basilone enlisted in the United States Army. He served 3 years in the Philippines. He saw the world. He learned discipline. He learned how to shoot. And he learned that military life suited him. After his Army service ended, John came home to Buffalo. He worked odd jobs, drove a truck, but civilian life felt empty. The structure, the purpose, the brotherhood of military service. He missed it all. In 1940, John Basilone made a decision that would change his life. He joined the United States Marine Corps. The Marines were different from the Army, tougher, more demanding, more proud. Marines did not see themselves as just another branch of service. They saw themselves as the best, the elite, and John Basilone wanted to be part of that. He went through boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina. The heat was brutal. The drill instructors were ruthless. Men quit every day. John Basilone did not quit. He thrived. After boot camp, Basilone was trained as a machine gunner. The Browning .30 caliber machine gun was a beast. It weighed over 40 pounds. It fired 500 rounds per minute. It could cut a man in half, and it required constant maintenance, constant ammunition, constant attention. Machine gunners had one job: lay down suppressing fire. Hold the line. Do not let the enemy advance. John Basilone became an expert. By 1942, the world was at war. Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. America was in the fight. The Pacific Theater became a brutal island-hopping campaign. Marines stormed beaches. They fought in jungles. They died in mud and blood and heat. And John Basilone was right in the middle of it. In August 1942, Basilone and the 1st Marine Division landed on Guadalcanal. It was supposed to be a quick operation. Secure Henderson Field airstrip. deny the Japanese a strategic position. But nothing in war is ever quick. The Japanese did not give up territory easily. What was supposed to take weeks turned into months of savage jungle fighting. Henderson Field was critical. Whoever controlled that airstrip controlled air superiority in the region. The Japanese knew it, the Americans knew it, and both sides were willing to bleed for it. By October 1942, the situation was desperate. The Japanese were throwing everything they had at the Marines, wave after wave of attacks, banzai charges, night assaults. The Marines were exhausted, low on supplies, running out of time. On the night of October 24, 1942, intelligence reported that a massive Japanese force was moving toward the Marine positions. Estimates ranged from 2,000 to 3,000 enemy soldiers. The Marines had maybe a few hundred men spread across a thin defensive line. The odds were not good. John Basilone commanded 2 machine gun sections, 30 caliber Brownings. He had maybe 15 men total in his sector, against thousands. As darkness fell, Basilone checked his weapons, loaded ammunition belts, made sure his men were ready. He did not give speeches. He did not need to. Every Marine there knew what was coming. Around 10 p.m., the jungle came alive. The Japanese attacked, not probing, not testing, full assault. Thousands of soldiers screaming, charging, firing. The sound was overwhelming. Gunfire, explosions, men shouting in Japanese, men screaming in English. The Marine line erupted in response. Machine guns roared, rifles cracked, grenades exploded. Basilone was behind his machine gun immediately. He pressed the trigger and the Browning thundered to life. Tracers streaked into the darkness. Japanese soldiers fell, but more kept coming. Always more. They charged in waves. When one wave was cut down, another appeared behind it. It was relentless. The machine gun grew hot. The barrel glowed in the darkness. Spent shell casings piled up around Basilone's feet. He kept firing, short controlled bursts, traversing left and right, cutting down anyone who came close. But the Japanese were not stupid. They spread out. They flanked. They moved through the jungle like ghosts. To Basilone's left, he heard screaming. One of his gun positions was being overrun. Marines were fighting hand-to-hand, bayonets, knives, rifle butts. Basilone could not leave his position. If he did, the center would collapse. So he kept firing, kept holding, kept praying his men could hold their positions. An hour into the battle, the first machine gun jammed. Too much firing, too much heat. The barrel had warped. Basilone ran to the gun through incoming fire. Bullets snapped past his head. He reached the gun and worked the action. His hands moved fast. Muscle memory, training. He cleared the jam and the gun roared back to life. The Marine behind it looked at Basilone with wide eyes. Basilone just nodded and ran back to his own position. 2 hours in, the ammunition started running low. Machine guns eat ammunition. 500 rounds per minute means you go through belts fast. Basilone saw the problem. They needed more ammo or they would be firing empty guns. He grabbed belts of ammunition, 90 pounds worth, and slung them over his shoulders. Then he ran through the jungle, in the dark, under fire, bringing ammunition to his gunners. Japanese soldiers were everywhere. Basilone could hear them in the jungle around him. He moved fast, low, quiet when he could. When he encountered enemy soldiers, he killed them. Sometimes with his pistol, sometimes with his knife, sometimes with his bare hands. There was no time for hesitation, no time for fear, only action. He reached the gun positions and distributed ammunition. The gunners were exhausted. Some were wounded. All were terrified. But they kept fighting because Basilone was there, because their sergeant was not quitting. So they would not quit either. 3 hours in, Basilone's machine gun overheated completely. The barrel was glowing red. Water from the cooling system had evaporated. The gun was done. Basilone needed a replacement. There was one, 100 yards away, in a position that had been overrun. The Marines there were dead, but the gun might still be operational. Basilone made the decision. He was going to get that gun. He told the Marine next to him to hold the position. Then he ran into the darkness, toward the overrun position, toward the dead Marines, toward the Japanese soldiers who were probably waiting there. He found the position, bodies everywhere. Marines and Japanese mixed together in the mud. The stench was overwhelming. Blood, gunpowder, death. Basilone found the machine gun. It was intact, operational, but it weighed over 40 pounds, and he still had to get it back. Basilone lifted the gun onto his shoulder. It was awkward, heavy, but he had done this in training 1,000 times. He started moving back toward his line. Japanese soldiers spotted him. They opened fire. Bullets hit the ground around him. One round grazed his arm. He kept moving, faster. The gun bounced on his shoulder. His legs burned. His lungs screamed. But he kept moving. He made it back, set up the new gun, loaded it, opened fire. The Japanese attack had not stopped. If anything, it had intensified. They were trying to break through before dawn, before American aircraft could provide support. It was now or never for them. 4 hours in, Basilone's hands were burning. The machine gun barrel was so hot that even brief contact burned skin. But the gun had to be fed. Ammunition had to be loaded. Adjustments had to be made. Basilone worked through the pain. His hands blistered. The blisters popped. His skin cooked on the hot metal. He did not stop. A Marine to his right took a bullet to the chest. He went down hard. Basilone crawled to him. The man was dying. Basilone knew it. The Marine knew it. But Basilone stayed with him for 30 seconds, held his hand, told him he did good, told him the line was holding. The Marine died. Basilone crawled back to his gun and kept firing. 5 hours in, the Japanese changed tactics. They stopped charging directly. Instead, they tried to infiltrate, small groups, moving through the jungle, trying to get behind the Marine positions. Basilone heard them. Movement in the darkness, whispers in Japanese. He grabbed grenades, pulled pins, threw them into the jungle. Explosions lit up the night. Screams followed, but the infiltration continued. Basilone realized he could not hold the position alone anymore. Too many angles, too many threats. He called for his men to tighten the perimeter, pull back slightly, concentrate their fire. It was a risk, giving ground, but it was necessary. The Marines pulled back 20 yards, formed a tighter circle. Now they could cover each other better. 6 hours in, ammunition was critically low. Basilone made another run, back through the jungle, back to the supply point. The journey was even more dangerous now. Japanese soldiers controlled parts of the area. Basilone moved like a ghost, silent, deadly. When he had to kill, he killed quietly. Knife work, quick, efficient. He reached the supply point, loaded himself with ammunition, started back. A Japanese patrol spotted him. 5 soldiers. They raised their rifles. Basilone dropped the ammunition and drew his pistol. Colt 1911, 45 caliber, 7 rounds. He fired. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 shots. 5 dead Japanese soldiers. He reloaded, picked up the ammunition, kept moving. 7 hours in, the sky began to lighten. Dawn was coming. The Japanese knew it. This was their last chance. They launched one final massive assault. Everything they had left. Hundreds of soldiers, screaming, charging, dying, but coming. Basilone was back at his gun. His hands were raw meat. His arms shook from exhaustion. His ears rang from hours of gunfire, but his eyes were clear. His mind was sharp. He pressed the trigger. The machine gun roared. Japanese soldiers fell in waves. The gun ran hot. Basilone did not care. He kept firing, kept killing, kept holding. The Marine to his left went down, shot through the head, dead instantly. Now Basilone had to cover 2 fields of fire. He swung the gun left, fired, swung right, fired, back and forth, mechanical, relentless. The barrel glowed white-hot. Steam rose from the cooling jacket. The gun should have failed. It did not. The Japanese were 10 yards away, 5 yards. Basilone could see their faces, young men, scared, determined. He kept firing. Bodies piled up in front of his position. The dead became cover for the living. Japanese soldiers hid behind their own dead and fired at the Marines. Then, finally, the sun broke the horizon. Light flooded the jungle. American aircraft appeared in the sky. The sound of their engines was the most beautiful thing Basilone had ever heard. The planes strafed the Japanese positions. Bombs fell. The Japanese attack broke. They retreated, melted back into the jungle. The battle was over, for now. Basilone stood up slowly. His legs barely held him. He looked around. Bodies everywhere. Japanese soldiers lay in heaps. Some Marines were dead, others were wounded. But the line had held. Henderson Field was safe. The mission was complete. A lieutenant walked over to Basilone. He looked at the scene, at the hundreds of dead Japanese soldiers, at Basilone's burned hands, at the pile of spent shell casings that reached Basilone's knees. The lieutenant did not know what to say. Finally, he managed 2 words. "Good work." Basilone nodded. He did not feel victorious. He felt tired, empty. He had killed dozens of men, maybe more. He had watched friends die. He had held a dying Marine's hand. There was no glory in any of it. Just necessity. Just duty. Over the next 2 days, the fighting continued. But the Japanese never broke through Basilone's sector. His machine guns held. His Marines held. And Henderson Field remained in American hands. It was a turning point in the Guadalcanal campaign, a turning point in the Pacific War. After the battle, Basilone's commanders recommended him for the Medal of Honor. The citation detailed his actions, how he had single-handedly held a critical position, how he had fought for 3 days with almost no rest, how he had repaired guns under fire, how he had carried ammunition through enemy positions, how he had killed at least 38 Japanese soldiers, confirmed. Probably many more. On October 24, 1943, exactly 1 year after the battle, John Basilone received the Medal of Honor. He was the first enlisted Marine to receive the award in World War II. The ceremony was held in Australia. A general pinned the medal to Basilone's chest. Photographers took pictures. Officers shook his hand. Basilone stood there awkwardly. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like a Marine who had done his job. After receiving the Medal of Honor, Basilone was sent back to the United States. The military wanted to use him for war bond drives, public appearances, speeches. Basilone hated it. He was not a politician. He was not a celebrity. He was a Marine. And his Marines were still fighting in the Pacific while he was selling bonds in America. For months, Basilone toured the country. He appeared at rallies. He shook hands with politicians. He posed for photographs. People treated him like he was special, like he was different from other Marines. Basilone knew better. The real heroes were the ones who did not come back. The Marines who died on Guadalcanal. Those were the heroes. He requested to return to combat. His superiors denied the request. He was too valuable as a symbol, too important for morale. They needed him selling bonds, not fighting. Basilone kept asking, kept insisting. Finally, in late 1944, his request was approved. John Basilone was going back to war. He was assigned to the 5th Marine Division. They were training for a major operation. The target was Iwo Jima, a small volcanic island halfway between the Mariana Islands and Japan. It was strategically critical. The Japanese had fortified it heavily. Intelligence estimated 21,000 Japanese defenders. The battle was going to be brutal. Basilone trained with his new unit. He was a gunnery sergeant now, older than most of the Marines, more experienced. They looked up to him. The Medal of Honor recipient, the hero of Guadalcanal. Basilone did not care about the hero worship. He cared about training his Marines, teaching them how to survive, how to fight, how to come home. On February 19, 1945, the 5th Marine Division hit the beaches of Iwo Jima. The Japanese had let the first waves land unopposed. Then they opened fire, artillery, mortars, machine guns. The beaches became a killing zone. Marines died by the hundreds in the first hour. John Basilone was in the initial assault waves. He led his machine gun section off the landing craft and into hell. The beach was black volcanic sand. It was soft. Marines sank into it. They could not run. They could barely walk. And all around them, Japanese fire poured down from the high ground. Basilone moved forward. He did not hesitate. He had been here before. Different island, same enemy, same fear, same job. Get off the beach. Get inland. Take the high ground. He directed his Marines, shouted orders over the noise, pointed out targets, led by example. A Marine near him was hit. Basilone grabbed him and dragged him toward cover. There was no cover, just open beach and death. Basilone kept moving anyway. He reached a small depression in the sand, placed the wounded Marine there, went back for more. The problem was a Japanese pillbox, a concrete bunker with a machine gun. It had clear fields of fire across the beach. It was cutting Marines down as they landed. Someone had to take it out. Basilone made the decision. He was going to do it. He gathered a team, 4 Marines. They had demolition charges, grenades, flamethrowers. Basilone explained the plan. They would move up the right side, use the terrain for cover, get close enough to destroy the pillbox. It was dangerous. It was probably suicide. But it was necessary. They moved. Basilone led. He carried his weapon and moved low, fast. The pillbox machine gun tracked them. Bullets kicked up sand around them. One Marine was hit, then another. But Basilone kept moving. He reached a position close to the pillbox, maybe 20 yards. He signaled his Marines. They threw grenades. The grenades exploded near the pillbox but did not destroy it. The concrete was too thick. Basilone tried again. More grenades. Still not enough. The pillbox gun was still firing, still killing Marines on the beach. Basilone grabbed a satchel charge, ran toward the pillbox, threw it through the firing slit, dove for cover. The explosion was massive. The pillbox disintegrated. Fire and smoke and debris erupted into the air. When the smoke cleared, the pillbox was destroyed. The machine gun was silent. Marines on the beach started moving forward again. The path was open. Basilone stood up. He was bleeding from shrapnel wounds but still functional. He gathered his remaining Marines. They needed to keep moving, keep pushing inland. The battle was far from over. They advanced maybe 50 yards. Then the mortars came. Japanese mortar teams had zeroed in on the beach. Shells rained down, explosions everywhere. Marines scattered, looking for cover that did not exist. John Basilone was moving between positions, checking his Marines, giving orders, making sure they were oriented. A mortar shell landed close, too close. The explosion threw him into the air. He landed hard in the volcanic sand. His Marines ran to him, turned him over. He was badly wounded. Shrapnel had torn through his body. He was bleeding heavily. A corpsman was called. But everyone there knew the wounds were too severe, too many. John Basilone was dying. He looked at his Marines, tried to speak. Blood filled his mouth. He could not form words, but his eyes said everything. Keep fighting. Hold the line. Do not quit. Those were the last things John Basilone communicated to his Marines. On February 19, 1945, less than 8 hours after landing on Iwo Jima, Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone died on a black sand beach. He was 28 years old. He had survived Guadalcanal. He had survived 3 days of hell. He had earned the Medal of Honor. He could have stayed in America, safe, comfortable, famous, but he chose to come back. He chose to fight. He chose to die with his Marines. The news of Basilone's death spread quickly through the 5th Marine Division. Marines who had never met him felt the loss. He was one of them, a hero who had come back, who had refused safety to stand with his brothers. His death hit hard. The battle for Iwo Jima continued for another month. It was one of the bloodiest battles in Marine Corps history. Over 6,000 Marines killed, nearly 20,000 wounded. But they took the island. They raised the flag on Mount Suribachi. They honored John Basilone and every other Marine who died there by finishing the mission. John Basilone was buried with full military honors. His body was returned to the United States and interred at Arlington National Cemetery. His grave is marked with the Medal of Honor. His name is carved in stone. Thousands visit every year. They pay respects to a Marine who gave everything. Basilone's real legacy is not in a grave. It is in the Marines who survived because he fought. It is in the Marines who learned from his example. It is in the Corps itself, which holds up John Basilone as the embodiment of Marine values: courage, honor, commitment, sacrifice. The Marines on Guadalcanal who John Basilone saved went on to live full lives. They came home. They married. They had children and grandchildren. Today, the descendants of those Marines number in the hundreds. Every one of them exists because John Basilone held a machine gun in the jungle and refused to let the enemy pass. On Iwo Jima, the pillbox that Basilone destroyed would have killed dozens more Marines if left operational. By taking it out, even at the cost of his own life, he saved lives. Young Marines who went on to fight in more battles, who came home, who built lives and families. The ripple effect of his sacrifice continues to this day. The United States Navy honored John Basilone by naming a destroyer after him. The USS Basilone served for decades, protecting American interests across the world's oceans. His name sailed into combat zones, a reminder of the Marine who never backed down. In his hometown of Raritan, New Jersey, where Basilone lived before the war, a parade is held every year in his honor. Veterans march, families gather. Children learn about the Marine who became a hero. The town has never forgotten their son. What made John Basilone special was not just his courage in combat. Many Marines showed courage. What made him special was his choice. After Guadalcanal, after the Medal of Honor, he could have stayed safe. He had done enough, more than enough. No one would have blamed him for staying in the United States, for living, for enjoying the fame and comfort that came with being a war hero. But John Basilone chose differently. He chose to return to combat, not for glory, not for more medals, but because he believed his place was with his Marines. He believed that leaders do not ask men to do what they themselves will not do. He believed in leading from the front, and that belief cost him his life. There is a concept in the Marine Corps called semper fidelis, always faithful. It is the Corps motto. It means faithfulness to the mission, to each other, to the values that define what it means to be a Marine. John Basilone lived that motto completely. He was faithful to his Marines. He was faithful to his duty. He was faithful to the end. His story reminds us that heroism is not about being unafraid. John Basilone was afraid on Guadalcanal. He was afraid on Iwo Jima. Fear is natural. What matters is what you do despite the fear. Basilone felt the fear and fought anyway. He felt the exhaustion and kept going anyway. He saw the danger and moved forward anyway. When John Basilone died on Iwo Jima, he was not thinking about legacy. He was not thinking about history books or memorials or parades in his honor. He was thinking about the Marines around him, the young men who looked to him for leadership, the brothers who needed someone to show them that it could be done, that the pillbox could be destroyed, that the beach could be crossed, that the enemy could be beaten. In his final moments, bleeding out on black volcanic sand, John Basilone's last act was to encourage his Marines to keep fighting. His last thought was for them, not for himself. That is the measure of the man. That is why his name is remembered. That is why his story matters. John Basilone's story is an American story. It is the story of an immigrant family's son who believed in his country enough to die for it. It is the story of a Marine who loved his brothers more than he loved his own safety. It is the story of a hero who chose duty over comfort, sacrifice over survival, honor over life. In 1942, on a dark jungle night in Guadalcanal, one Marine with a machine gun held back 3,000 enemy soldiers. He fought for 3 days. He carried 90 pounds of ammunition through enemy fire. He repaired guns with his burned hands. He killed dozens of the enemy, and he saved Henderson Field, turning the tide of the Pacific War. In 1945, on a black sand beach in Iwo Jima, that same Marine led his men against impossible odds. He destroyed a pillbox that was slaughtering his brothers. He pushed forward when every instinct screamed to retreat, and he died doing what he had always done, leading from the front, fighting for his Marines, never backing down. Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone, Medal of Honor, Navy Cross, Purple Heart, November 4th, 1916 to February 19th, 1945, United States Marine Corps, a true American hero, semper fidelis, always faithful, never forgotten.